Hello YouTube. This says the things that make you weird as a kid will make you great tomorrow. That's written by a guy named James Victor. He's an artist, a designer, and an advocate for creativity. This was sent to me. This is out of an Entrepreneur magazine. This was sent to me by a very good friend, very dear friend, almost like a brother to me. Actually, he is like a brother to me. I've never had a brother. I have 4 sisters. And this guy I've known forever, and he is like a brother to me. And he sent this to me out of an Entrepreneur magazine because he said it explains us very, very well. And I'll explain. I guess this kind of should have been in my origins video. It's just going to be a little bit. I'm going to talk about some things, and I'm going to talk about things that are kind of like based on this. Just, you know, if you're here for a vlog, and this type of stuff, me sitting in my nerd cave talking to the camera, does not interest you, I'll see y'all tomorrow. If you're curious about what I'm about to talk about, stick around. It's worth a listen. Anyway, so the things that make you weird as a kid will make you great tomorrow. That's okay. So growing up, I was a very weird kid. I guess I was kind of very socially inactive. I didn't do the same things that all the other kids did. All the other kids were into sports and basketball and football, and they all just had kind of the same common interest, and I absolutely did not. I was very creative and had a very creative mind, and I didn't think like the other kids, and I knew that from a long time ago. I've known this my whole life, that I don't think like the majority of the people that I'm around. If I'm in a room full of people, I'm probably the only person that has a thought process like mine, or sees the world or the room that I'm in like I do, is probably me. If I was to be in a room full of people, very rarely could I be in a room full of people and someone else thinks like I do or sees things the same as I do. Not in a way of, you know, I'm crazy, I'm not hallucinating. I'm saying in the way that I envision things, and I look at things, and I see things, and I have a very creative mind. And I know that now, but as a kid I thought I was just a weirdo. And I was led to believe that maybe I was a weirdo. I never called myself a creative as a kid. I knew I was an outcast. And I was totally an outcast. Did I have friends? Absolutely, I had friends. I had friends that put up with me. I had friends that had exact same interests as everybody else. Didn't have the same interests as me, but they were my friends. They befriended me, and they were kind to me, which was fantastic. School would have been very rough without any friends. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I'm a very different individual, but weird is good. Weird is okay. And I think that a lot of kids these days, or even adults these days, that's either been shamed out of them or taught out of them. You've either been shamed out of getting out of that weirdness and just fitting in with the crowd, or you've been taught that that's not the way to be, that's not the way to think, that's not how you do things. And that's unfortunate. I think everybody should embrace who they are, and if you have a vision of something, or if you, okay, to explain things, the only way I could deal with ADD, which is a real thing, and I know people want to pass it off as just a way to calm down hyper kids, give them medication. It's a real thing. It's a way that you can't focus. Your mind is reeling with ideas, creative thoughts, different things. You can look at one simple thing and see loads of information in it. God, I hope I'm making sense. To have a mind that never shuts down is hard. It's tough. And the only way I could calm that, the only way I could relax my brain, is by creating things, by doing things, drawing. I used to draw nonstop. I would draw on anything that I could get my hands on, you know, envelopes and napkins and whatever, my desk. I would draw. I had to do it. I just had to do it. I had to put a pen to paper or a pencil to paper. It just had to happen to keep my mind at ease. And that's real. So any creative outlet that I could find was you know, I would grab a hold of it and really dive into it, and that was great because it kept me learning new things. But ever since, from a very young age, I never let anybody shame me out of being who I was. Did it suck sometimes? Yeah, when people are like, oh, you know, we're all getting together to do this, but they didn't invite you. Because, you know, first of all, you know, if they're getting together for a sports event, I'm not a sports guy. I never have been. Will I sit through a game? Yeah. I mean, there's a little bit of interest there to watch something, especially if it's live, if you're actually at a stadium watching a game. That will draw my interest more than watching sports on TV. Did I ever play sports? I tried. It just wasn't my thing. My thing was to be creative. My thing was to create things, to make things, to maybe even to entertain people. If I could entertain people with something that I created or something that I did, that was fantastic. But I never let anyone shame that out of me. I never let anyone try to teach me not to be who I was, just because it wasn't the norm, just because it wasn't what everybody else did. I knew I was different, and I was actually thankful and grateful and happy that I was different. I never wanted to be like everybody else. I found that so boring. And I mean, don't get me wrong, if you love sports, if you love, you know, race cars, if you love those things, like I say race cars because here in my community, that's a big deal. I've never been into that. If those are your passions, those are the things you're really into, fantastic, awesome, that's okay. But I found just being like everyone else and talking about the exact same things and talking about sports and, you know, and racing and even politics, talking about the exact same stuff over and over again, and that was the common interest. It would just bore me to death. I wanted to talk about crazy things, exciting things. I wanted to talk about creating things. I wanted to talk about ideas and you know, how to create, you know, a certain image or a picture in the way of drawing when I was younger, in the way of digital art and graphic design as I got older, now in the way of videography and seeing something and envisioning something in your mind and then capturing that through a lens in the way of motion and putting that through editing into something that you had pictured in your brain and watching it either it come across exactly how you wanted it or totally finding it a new spin kind of on its own just through editing. It's like, I didn't know that it could go that way, but it did. Those are the things that if I could have sat down with someone all the time, I could have talked forever about that stuff, creativity. And I was a storyteller as a young kid, and I came up with some wild stories. I used to tell my kids stories before they would go to bed, and they remember this, I'm sure. And I would come up with the craziest stories to tell my kids. I could envision, vividly see what I was talking about, and you know, so I had this creative drive to get it out of my head and into some sort of media, and that kept me calm. That kept me from my mind just going reeling and going, you know, 100 miles an hour. If I could get some of them ideas out, that was therapeutic, I guess. And I see a lot of times, and I know there's a lot of shaming going on. I know there's a lot of people who try to convince people not to be a certain way because it's just weird or nobody does that. Listen, don't let no one tell you not to be you. Don't let no one tell you not to go after something that you find very interesting or even a passion for. Don't let anybody tell you to be different. That's not fair. And it's not fair to you or them, because I embrace that. When I find someone who has a creative side, when I find someone who is so much different than everybody else, that is so interesting to me, and I want to know more about that person. I just want to be around them. You know, to think outside the box, to think outside of what everybody else in society is doing. Those are people that do very great things in this life. And it's true. And the only reason I'm talking about this is because my friend sent me that newspaper article, and he sent me a letter along with it, and it was a snail mail. We still communicate that way. There's a long story behind there. That story may be told someday, but not by me. Most likely by him. He and I will connect again one day. He, like I said, he's like a brother to me. He's in a situation that's just out of everybody's control, and that's just the way it has to be for now. But the reason me and him connected so many years ago and stayed like brothers, we're like family, the reason we stayed so close over the years, because we talk on the phone all the time, and we connect with each other through snail mail. And that's okay. I don't mind writing a letter. I actually like that. And we connected so well because he was the other person in the room who was just like me. He was the guy that had the crazy thoughts and the reeling mind and the ideas and the visions and the artistic abilities. Very, very creative. And he didn't quite understand that either. He didn't understand. He thought he was just a weirdo. And I explained to him one day, I said, listen, dude, you are you. And that's why I hang out with you. Because you're not like everybody else. You are your own person. And that's cool. That's very cool. That's not weird. That's you. And that's okay. And then when I got that article and I read it, he and I had just talked on the phone about what I'm doing in the way of videography and different things, and the people that I've connected with, and the very creative people that I work with. Very creative people. The things that they do and venture out in, and just super creative, creating things and you know, whether it be music or like a play, or you know, they're entrepreneurs, and it's just, all these people are very interesting to me. And to find that many people that aren't just like me, but they were probably most likely at one point in their life considered weird. And I guess this is just kind of a message to tell anybody who's listening: don't let anybody tell you to be something that you don't want to be. Don't let anybody tell you, hey, go out and get a 9-to-5 job. Work that job until you're old and gray, retire from that job, and then live the rest of your days doing, you know, if you don't want a 9-to-5, if you don't want to work in a factory or work in a restaurant, if you don't want that, then don't do it. Go and pursue what you want. Go and be what you want. Find the job that's going to make you happy and work that for the rest of your life. But no matter what, whatever you choose to do in life, you have to enjoy it. You have to enjoy the process of creating it. Because if you don't, how's anyone else going to enjoy it? How's anyone else going to find that interesting? And I just felt compelled to come out here and talk about this. This is written, and I told you, it's written by a guy. Maybe I told you this, I'm not sure. It's written by a guy named James Victor, who is an artist and designer and an advocate for creativity. I might have already said that, I don't remember. He wrote an article, and it talked about, you know, that, being a weird kid, being a creative, and that just because you're different, or because you're different and think out of the box and don't follow the norm, and have a very creative side, that's beneficial to you. That's beneficial to you and the world. That's beneficial to you and anybody around you, because of the interesting things that you can either create someday and offer the world. I mean, think about it. the movies that we go to watch, the movies that sell millions of dollars in tickets, and that does so well, those people are very creative people, my gosh. And I guarantee at some point in their life, when they were a kid, they were considered weird because of, I mean, you don't come up with ideas that are coming out of some of the movies today. And what a great time to be alive with technology and the amazing things that are going on in this life, aside from the bad things. But I'm talking in the way of entertainment and creativity. It's a great time to be alive because the movies just rock. Technology can make movies so awesome, but the people who are coming up with these ideas are genius. And they were probably considered at one point in their life, maybe not, but at one point in their life they was probably considered a weirdo. So I'm just reaching out to anybody, whether you're a child or an adult, anybody who thinks that they shouldn't pursue something because of what somebody might think. Lose those thoughts right now. Don't care what people think. Don't worry about what someone might say about you. I know those things hurt. If someone talks, terrible things about you, that stings a little bit, but don't worry about it because there's people out there. Whether you find them when you're 10 or when you're, 44, there's people out there who are going to totally accept you because they see in you something very different, something very creative, and something very interesting. And that feels good. And maybe it took me 40-some years to find that. I did find it in my friend who sent me the magazine article. There's a few people in my life right now that have seen me be on something weird. They see me as a very creative, interesting person. My wife, absolutely. I still refer to myself as weird sometimes, and she don't like that. She don't think I'm weird. She thinks I'm very creative. She thinks I'm very interesting. She likes that about me. And these people that I'm working with and that I'm around quite often like that about me. So there's people out there that are going to call you a weirdo because you have a different way of thinking, or you have a different way of seeing something, or you have ideas, and let them think what they want to think. Those are the people you don't need to associate yourself with, because there is people out there that are going to be like, dude, you've got great ideas. We can do something together and make something amazing. And you'll find your group. You'll find people who like you because you're a weirdo. There's people out there, there's the cookie cutter people who, I don't want to jump on anybody, and nobody in particular, nobody specific. I'm just saying there's people out there who pretend to be creative, in the way of okay, anybody can buy a very fancy camera. Anybody can buy an excellent camera, $5,000 camera, and they can go out and they can call themselves a photographer, and they can do the cookie cutter photography that every other photographer does. To me, that's not photography. To me, that's you owning a very expensive camera calling yourself a photographer. Photography is someone who has a great vision, someone who has very unique things in their photography, in their photos, straight out of the camera. Never sees a computer program. Boom, right out of the camera. You can look at their photography and you can see little intricate things in there that most people won't see unless you're very creative, but you can see what maybe they focused on, or just the quality of the photo straight out of the camera. And the same goes with videography. You can go out and you can buy, thousands of dollars worth of video gear, but that doesn't make you a videographer. I mean, there's people who could take a $200 camera and produce some freaking incredible photography that will blow away anybody with a $5,000 camera that edits the shit out of their photos and calls himself a photographer. You can record on an old ass 8mm video camera And if you are creative and if you have a vision and it's what you do with the gear, it's not necessarily the gear that matters. It's what you do with it. You know, and it's the reason I say this is because there's so many people who want to call themselves photographers and videographers, who want to call themselves artists, who are only doing it because maybe there's a lot of money involved. And if that's your first interest when it goes into creating something, then you're not an artist. There's got to be a passion there, and there's got to be a vision there, and there's got to be a want to create before, you know, earning any money. Now, earning money at what you do, earning money at using your talent, that's fantastic. Man, I mean, who doesn't want to do that? Everybody. If you got a talent, you got a skill, and you can create, and you can feel good about that, plus you can make some money, you can earn a living, you can feed your family, absolutely fantastic. But you got to love what you do to get other people to love what you do. And you got to love everything about it, from start to finish. From the time out in the field, to the time at the computer, to the time conjuring up what you want to do next. And that's what I've been my whole life. And if you're that way, don't let anybody convince you that you shouldn't be that way. You know, I'm reaching out to the creative people. I'm reaching out to the people who love to produce something to make someone happy, who loves to create because it's just coming straight from them, their heart, their emotions, and they're putting it out there for you to see and to enjoy. And if you do, that's amazing to them and to you. I hope I'm making sense. And maybe I'm not. And if you're watching this and you don't quite get it, I apologize. But anyway, I got this article, and it was sent to me from my friend who I had already told you means so much to me. He's like a brother to me. I love this guy. And I know how he feels, especially now. Sort of. I know how he feels. I'm sure he feels like an outcast and alone. I know those feelings very well also. But I'm not an outcast. And I'm someone who just wants to create. I just, right now, and I can see this lasting for a very long time, I want to make movies. I want to create videos. I want to come up with ways of doing things that are different than anybody else. And I know I will because that's the way I think. I don't make my videos like everybody else does because I don't think like everybody else does. So I have a very unique spin on what I do. I don't know. Anyway, that's going to be today's vlog. I hope you guys are okay with that. I just felt the need to say it. This struck something in me when I thought about it. You know, I've got a daughter, my youngest daughter. Well, all my kids really have a creative side, but my youngest daughter, she loves to sing. And when that girl first started singing, she was young. Her voice wasn't very good, I will say. But to hear that girl sing now, she from the day she was born, when we put the radio under her bed because it was the only way she could go to sleep is by listening to music, her whole life, she would sing all the time. Even as a little bitty girl, singing all the time. And when she got older and she would sing, and you know, she was so proud of her voice, and we was like, yeah, you know, she don't, yeah, but today, because she never stopped, she never gave up, and I'm sure people told her, well, you don't sing that good, or, you know how kids can be. She didn't care. She's like, I want to sing. That's what she wants to be. That's what she wants to do in life. And she can sing like you wouldn't believe, and she's 11 years old. Can you imagine? When she's a woman, when she's an adult, she's going to have a voice like an angel. I don't doubt that. And I don't doubt that she'll go on someday to be whatever she wants to be. And maybe this is a phase. I don't think it is. She was born with the love for music. She was born that way. From almost the day we brought her home from the hospital, the only way to get her to sleep, to stay calm at night, was music. And it would work just like that. So I think that's what she'll be someday, is she'll be in the music industry. She may be a singer, you know, she may be in a band, she may travel the world. Whatever she wants to do, I know she can do it. Absolutely, no doubt about it. And anybody watching also can do the same thing. Little sappy bit of a video, I know, but I just wanted to talk about it for a couple reasons. I love to talk, and this is just something I just wanted to talk about, because I don't want people to not go out and express their creative side because they're afraid to, or because that's weird. Again, and this is how I'll end this video, don't let anybody shame you or try to teach you not to be who you want to be and who you truly are. Just be it. Just do it. Who cares about them? You don't need to associate yourself with them. And if it's family members, well, that's unfortunate as well, and I know exactly what you're going through if it is family members who try to convince you not to be who you want to be or do what you want to do. I've dealt with it my whole life. But I never ever let anybody convince me otherwise. Stay strong, be who you are, love yourself, because until you can learn that, you're really going to have a hard time loving anyone else. And just be you, man. That's it. Be you. There you have it. Enough sap. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching today's video. Not really a vlog, but it was today's video. Nonetheless, thank you for watching, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.